Hi.
Goodbye, Kathleen. Hello, folks. And
No.
today we're working with Adam Smith and his book, The Wealth of Nations, and the idea of laissez-faire economics, which will develop into capitalist economic theory. So, when we look at Adam Smith is an economist. He's Scottish, and so therefore he's from Britain. And he comes up with a book, Wealth of Nations. And what he does is he studies the economy and he's applying also the Enlightenment ideas, the idea that man is reasonable. And he comes up with some basic ideas. One, he says that people work in their own best interest. So by individuals working in their own best interest, society will produce everything it needs. For example, if it rains, a company is going to sell umbrellas. So people will be able to have the product. The government does not need to force that company to sell umbrellas when it's working. He also believes that competition makes better products. It makes cheaper products, and he forces companies to improve the production and manufacture of goods. I think you can see that recently with, for example, when you look at Apple and Samsung. When the iPhone gets an upgrade, then Samsung gets an upgrade. It is these ideas. He believes in this law of supply and demand. The law of supply and demand, remember, is the more of supply of a good you have, the higher it's, and the low demand, the lower the cost. If you have high demand and low supply, then you will have a high cost. For example, right now, there is an overabundance of snow shovels. There is a large supply of snow shovels because we didn't have a bad winter, and there is low demand for it. So therefore, to get a snow shovel, a snow blower, any of those things right now would be very cheap. However, if you went last winter, right before the big blizzard came, and people needed snow shovels and needed snow blowers, they weren't around, so you had a high demand, low supply, high price. We talked about everyone working in their own self-interest, so we're producing it. And when the government interferes in the economy, it hurts the economy. And that's where he comes up with this idea of laissez-faire. Think of it as lazy. Laissez-faire is the government stays out of the economy. Businesses can regulate their own factories. They can control their own places of business. They do not need government interference. He would be against the child labor laws in the 1850s because he's thinking government interference, it hurts the economy. He's also in support of this free market, and he believes that the free market, government not controlling prices, government not coming in and regulating what goods need, that will make the economy function. This is something that is, you can see, is in conflict because this is what the United States is founded on, these ideas. But there is, remember, he's thinking man is reasonable. He's not believing that the conditions that will develop during the Industrial Revolution develop. Well, Britain and the factory owners like his ideas, and then it continues with the idea, and you'll see in the reading, with David Ricardo. And David Ricardo is writing at the time where there is a movement to increase working class wages. And David Ricardo thinks the only reason that factory workers have their children work is for income. But remember, they needed the income. He did not take that into account. So he's saying, under his iron law of wages, if you increase wages, this will encourage factory workers to have more children. Therefore, because you have more children, taking Adam Smith's law of supply and demand, you will have more supply of labor. Over time, This will actually lower wages. So anytime the government interferes to set wages, it will hurt the working class. We can see this theory is incorrect because if workers were making a decent wage, remember, they're not going to put their children into the factories. What you end up having is the opposite happening. So, what is the goals of capitalism? One, the sole goal is to create wealth. And the idea is we are creating wealth and I get to keep my wealth. I am also, with government staying out, individuals are owning the means of production. So for example, if I go to Disney World and I ride the roller coaster, Disney's product is fun. The means of getting that fun is that roller coaster. Disney owns that. Private ownership means, for example, having the little local restaurant, but private ownership also means corporations with stock. We talked about supply and demand. The big focus is the government. Any interference by the government will hurt the economy, so they cannot interfere. What ends up happening is you end up having, as you can see from the reading, you do have people support this, and this is still a conflict. But as capitalism is going, not everybody is getting wealthy. The conditions, remember, you had the overcrowded cities, you didn't have a working sewer system, you had the 14, 15-hour days, you had low wages. What ends up happening is, as a result of this, while your upper class is going to be supporting capitalism, your lower class is going to be rejecting it. Adam Smith rejected the mercantilist economy. Remember, the government before Adam Smith and the laissez-faire ideas was heavily involved. It wasn't encouraging trade. It was keeping everything in, not allowing cheaper goods in to force your businesses. That's what he's writing in response to. Now he is trying to open up these economies and make the economy stronger through capitalism. But as we see, there were abuses in the capitalist system. And today we still have those fights. How much capitalism should and what percentage of government regulation should be involved? And we're going to talk about that next class. Thank you.